Welcome. You are now tuned in to the Expert Advice for Men podcast, solving issues facing men 35 years and older. For more information, visit us at www.expertadviceformen.com. And here is your host, Belltown Bradley.
Hey guys, and thanks for joining us on the podcast. Now, today's guest, we have Lawson Wong. Now, Lawson is currently a second-year undergrad at the prestigious Harvard University. Yes, that Harvard University. Now, it's not every day we or myself get to talk to a person who went to Harvard or is going to Harvard. And if you want expert advice on how to get your kids motivated and ready to go when it comes to college admissions, this is the podcast to listen to. Now, there's going to be a lot of people listening to this and saying, Radley, you don't need college to become successful. I didn't go to college and I became a success. I turned out just fine. You don't need college. Now, I agree, and that can be true. I've seen a lot of people who didn't go to college become really successful in their lives financially. However, for the majority of people, the statistics don't lie. Now, in 2017, the Bureau of Labor and Statistics did a study, and those who dropped out of high school made a median income of about $500. Now, those who went to high school with only a high school diploma and graduated made about $700 per week. Those that attended college and graduated with a bachelor's degree made about $1,200 a week. And those with advanced college degrees, master's degrees, professional degrees made $1,451 per week. Now, that's an earnings jump of about $1,000 from a high school dropout. So for parents listening that believe in the college route and want to put their kids in the best possible position for success and admissions to a top university, this is the podcast for you. I've re-listened to this interview several times, taking notes, and from top to bottom, there are so many gems you do not want to miss out on. But enough from me. Let's get into this interview. Here is Lawson Wong. First off, our podcast is directed toward men 35 years and over. Lawson, I'm glad you're here. Now, with every guest member, we ask your age. So how old are you, my friend?
I am 20 years old.
20. Oh, man, the good old days. So when do you turn 21?
You know it, Radley.
Yeah, man. When do you turn 21?
All right, Radley, how old are you?
I am 42 years old. So when did I meet? I met you about 3 or 4 years ago now? 5 years ago?
Yes.
In person? So you must have been like, a sophomore in high school or starting off your high school career?
I think so.
Yeah. So tell the audience, where did you grow up now?
So I grew up all over the Seattle area. Okay. So I was born in my grandparents' home, and then we moved away to Seattle, South Seattle, right on the border of Renton. And because my parents wanted me to have a better education, we moved to Newcastle. And I went to Newcastle Elementary, got the East Side education, and then we actually moved back to Renton with our grandparents. And I went to Renton Christian School for 1 year. And my parents, we needed that great education. So we moved back to Bellevue, back to the East Side. And I graduated from Newport High School. And now I'm at Harvard.
Excellent. So it sounds like your parents really nurtured your academics growing up. Were your parents, how would you describe, were they really strict, pretty understanding, easygoing?
Yeah, that's people always ask me that. And I always say that my parents were very easygoing. They did a very good job, I would say. When I was in 3rd grade, I remember very clearly, I was in the gifted program, and I hate reading. So reading comprehension is the worst, having to read a passage and answer some questions. And I just wanted to give up. But my dad, using his sales tactics, he just said, hey man, all you got to do is read it, finish it. Doesn't matter how bad the quality is, just finish it and you can play for the rest of the day. And I kind of took that mentality for the rest of my life. And I've just been finishing stuff and the quality got better as I finished more and more, and it worked.
Excellent. Sounds like a great dad. So, did school come easy to you growing up, or were you the type that had to study their butts off every day, like putting hours in?
You know, like I said just previously, like reading in English was always pretty difficult for me. I am an ESL student, English as second language. I grew up speaking Chinese, Cantonese specifically. And when I went to kindergarten, actually preschool, my first year of school, I only knew 2 English words. And my parents taught me right before I went to school as they were dropping me off. One was thank you, and one was poo poo. So just to go to the bathroom and just to be nice.
Hey, those are the important words to know, right?
Exactly.
All right, so let's fast forward here. Now, you're in high school and you're making plans to go to college. What year in high school did you really start with your planning and researching getting into different colleges?
So this question actually stems back to 8th grade. So back in 8th grade, I remember a conversation I had with my dad. My dad asked me, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? Right? And I was like, I don't really know, but I know I want to live well and make some money. And he asked me, do you know what the job that makes you the most money the easiest way is? And I responded, doctor? And he said, no, son, it's investment banking. Wow. And I was like, what is investment banking? And he told me what investment banking was. And he says, but to become an investment banker, what you need to do is go to a good college. Once that's done, the job's yours. So ever since that, it was in a car ride. He told me that, and that's when I decided, all right, let's send this, let's do well in school.
Yeah.
Let's set myself up for a good life.
So 8th grade, so right before high school. So, all right, so you had this mindset you wanted to go into a top-notch school. I mean, I was looking at the statistics. I mean, getting into Harvard, there's undergrad, there's 40,000 applications, 5% acceptance rate. So that's like 2,000 people only. So what was your mindset? Are you like a very competitive type of person? Do you have to like win all the time? Tell us about your mindset. How would you approach school?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I would say that the reason why I shot so high is because of a loss. So back in 8th grade, I applied to Lakeside. So Lakeside is the private school that all the wealthiest people from Seattle go to. I mean, Bill Gates went there. That's where he met Paul Allen. And now their kids go there. So it's a very elite private high school. And I applied in 8th grade, put in all that I had, and I just didn't make it. I got cut. I remember the day when I just finished hanging out with my friends. We get off the bus to go home, get to the mall in Factoria, and I get into my mom's car, and my mom hands me the letter. And I open it, and the whole ride home, I was just crying. And I told myself, never again. This is not going to happen again. I don't like getting that rejection letter, so I'm going to do what I can to make sure that doesn't happen for college when it really matters.
Wow, that's inspiring. So it took an L, right? A loss to really push you, motivate you to that next level, right?
Exactly. We take an L, but we bounce back, baby.
That's awesome, man. So when you're doing your research, I remember back in the day, I mean, I applied to schools 20 years ago. This was before the internet. Did you have some specific websites you like to use? I remember back then it was U.S. News and World Report was actually like a magazine. Did you have some websites or any insight on that?
I think a lot of people go on these websites trying to find the Holy Grail, the Fountain of Youth, but nothing substitutes for hard work. Just focus on school, make sure you're doing the right things, take the rigorous courses, do well in those courses, volunteer, but there's a very specific way that you need to volunteer. You can't just volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club and do leadership. But again, very specific way of doing leadership. Many kids at my school, they think just doing Key Club and being the president of Key Club is going to do it. That doesn't work.
Okay.
So there are very specific ways of doing things that throughout the process I found out, and also I found out from a lot of my classmates at Harvard that when we've had these conversations.
So going into Harvard, you guys shared a lot of the same common traits, the same common upbringing and background. And
yeah, that's the beautiful thing, is that we're all different, actually, in that we didn't have the same upbringing, but everyone got there in their own way, right? And but there are common traits, but there are actually more differences than commonalities.
Okay, so they always say we're influenced by the 5 closest people around us. So when you were in high school, did you guys did you do a mastermind group? Did you say, hey, I'm planning to go to Stanford, and hey, I'm planning to go to Yale, and you're in Harvard? Did you have a mastermind group, or were you more of like the soloist in that respect? That's
great. And I'm going to bring back my dad. So my dad always told me, you are who you hang around with, right? And here's a story again. So I was hanging out with my friends. I've been friends with these guys ever since freshman year. And in the middle of sophomore year, I realized the guys started experimenting with drugs. And after school, they'd go do drugs, smoke weed. Some guys even did some powder. I realized, what the hell am I doing, right? Like, I don't want this to take over my life. So I had to make the decision of just kind of cutting them out of my life. I didn't want them to determine my future for me. So I just went lone wolf, but it worked out. I mean, like, it's scary, but you got to take the risk, because the reward is there, and the reward is far away, and those people are blocking you from your reward.
Right.
So what happened was I really just had one main friend in high school, and this friend he would only do half days at high school, and so he'd come to school at around 10 and finish at 1 and do other online courses to make up for the credits. But in the mornings, he'd wake up at 5, go to tennis at 6, finish tennis at 10. So that's 4 hours in the morning, go to school, get back in his mom's car, go back to tennis from 3 to 7. So this guy, he was the number 1 tennis player in the state. And at his prime, he was the number 20 tennis player in the nation. Right.
Wow.
So we were buddies. We both knew that we wanted to go to great colleges. And we both knew that we're not going to let this high school bull mess up our future. Right. So we pushed each other, and he's now at Columbia University.
Excellent.
And I am at Harvard. And we get to hang out on the East Coast.
So it really is about surrounding yourself with those people that share the same mindset, the same goal, and like you said, having a dad that supports those goals, and cutting out the dead weight. Sounds like
exactly.
That's what it's all about. So
100%.
All right, so you're already in Harvard, and I'm going to assume your GPA is extremely high in your SAT and ACT scores. I don't know if you're comfortable revealing those scores. Were you actually a valedictorian at your school?
I was not. I was in the top 5% of my class, but I was not valedictorian.
And I should mention this for those who don't know, Newport is one of the top high schools in the entire state.
Yeah, so I was not valedictorian. However, I was the president of the school. So you don't need to be valedictorian. Harvard, actually, I would say, it happens that there are many valedictorians, but they're not. They don't care about your academics. Let me rephrase that. You got to hit the threshold, which is basically 4.0. You got to get above a 34 out of 36 on the ACT, 99th percentile on the standardized tests. You got to hit all those, right? But just because you hit those does not mean you get a ticket to the school.
Right.
It just means that now you've got a chance. So the thing is, what are you going to do with that chance, right? What else do you have? And that's what they care about.
So they want like a well-rounded campus, a well-rounded student body, I should say, not just a bunch of people or all aces, right?
Exactly.
So after getting accepted, were there things that surprised you about the whole process that you thought there was easier or tougher than you thought when it came to applying and getting admitted to Harvard?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty simple formula, right? The formula is that you got to do something bigger than yourself. It's not just about yourself and what you learned through your misfortunes. It's about what affected you and what you did about it and how you change a bunch of other people's lives, right? So that's the simple formula, but the execution is very complex.
You finished your first year. You're going into your third year now at Harvard?
Yes, that is correct.
Looking back and you're talking to fellow classmates, is Harvard everything you thought about as far as rigorousness and just being on campus? Is it everything you thought about?
It is. So what they have this thing called Visitas, and that's where all the admits go and meet each other for the first time. Some of us decide to go to other schools, but the retention rate at Harvard is higher than any other school. It's 85%. So of 85% of the students that get admitted, 85% go. Or sorry, of 100 people who get admitted, 85 will go.
Okay, I see.
Right. Yeah, so it is everything that I thought and more.
Yeah, is there anything that surprised you your first 2 years at Harvard?
Yeah, what surprised me is, so coming from the West Coast is the East Coast culture. The elitism on the East Coast is much more prominent than the West Coast. For example, on the East Coast, they really care that my last name is Wong and not Kennedy or Hutchinson.
How so?
It's there's some old money on the East Coast. It's privilege. It's privilege.
I see. Okay. So, okay, well, let's recap for the parents listening. You know, a lot of the people, this, like I said, podcast is directed those 35 and older, and I'm sure a lot of parents are listening to this, and they want their kids to go to a good university. If you were to recommend to a family friend, what are the very first steps you would tell a parent they must give their child, and what age would you say to start encouraging your child when it comes to college?
I would say it starts from when they first go to school, because when you go to Harvard, it's about, the main thing at Harvard is about the academics and the education. You go there to learn, right? There are other schools where it's for the college experience, right? I'm not saying that we don't get the college experience, but that's not the main thing. The main thing is to learn and apply those skills that you learn to your life in the future. So I would say that starting your children at a very young age and pointing them in the right direction is crucial.
Yeah, it sounds like your dad was very instrumental and very inspiring in your academic endeavors, and that's awesome to hear. That's really awesome to hear. So we're going to be heading toward the end of our interview here, and this is the moment we segue into what we call the E4Q. Exclusive. And that stands for the exclusive 4 questions we ask all of our podcast guests. So, we could get to know you in a more personal level there. So, question number 1, name a place you've traveled or an adventure that you feel every man should experience once in their life.
Parents, they actually, I'm very grateful in that they take us traveling quite a bit. They think that we actually learn much more even if they take us out of school to learn the culture of a new country than being in school and reading from a textbook. So one of the places, very special places that we've been to is Istanbul.
Wow.
Right. So in Turkey.
Yes.
And I think it is as Americans, it is very important to go to Muslim countries and to experience Islam in those countries, because America just puts such a bad perception of Muslims. I think it is very important for Americans to get out of our soil and to go to these Muslim countries and experience just coexisting together and realizing that it's not the religion, right? We're all people, and there's good people and bad people everywhere. And of all the Muslims that I've met, they've all been very good.
That's great to hear. Yeah. And that's the reason why we asked that question. So people listening can, get out of their shells and get out of their comfort zones and travel, get out there and get to know other people and other cultures. That's awesome. So,
and for the record,
yes,
this is coming from a very devout Christian. I'm a very devout Christian.
You know, it's funny. I find that with devout Christians, they actually, a lot of them are very open to hearing other perceptions and other ways of thinking. And that's great that, at 20 years old, you have that head on your shoulders. So going to question number 2, is there a skill you possess or a skill you wish you possess that you feel every man should have?
I wish I could be a peacemaker. Just everywhere that I went, people feel comfortable, and they feel comfortable when they're around me, because the world is all about relationships, and it's about who you know. And when you have more friends, there are more opportunities and more doors that open.
Yeah, you're 20 years old? That is an awesome quote right there, guys. Rewind and listen to that part. Seriously. Now, question number 3, because, the people who listen to this podcast may be a little bit older, and I know some older people are like scared of technology, or they're not into the newest technology. The question I ask is, do you have an app on your phone that you think everybody should use every single day? Or is there an app on your phone that you use that you feel everybody should use?
The app on my phone that I use every single day is my camera.
Your camera?
I take daily vlogs every single day, and it's usually about 10 seconds of just a video of whatever I feel is special that I'm doing on that day. And what I do is I post it on Instagram, and it's on a private account that only my family follows. But I've been doing this since the middle of my junior year of high school. So I'm on vlog 1,185.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
It's amazing. Yeah. I just look back, and I can go to vlog 362 and see what I did on that day, and it just brings me right back.
That's great. So guys who are listening and people who are scared of little technology, I've mentioned in our website, get on Instagram. People, it's very easy to use. It's not intimidating at all. And just like Lawson said, you can store your memories, access them whenever you need to, and those memories, they take you back to that place, make you feel really good.
Yeah, I agree with Radley. Use Instagram. But also, I like to add that use it for yourself and not for other people.
That's a great point.
I deleted my main account. I had 1,000 followers, and I just thought that it was kind of taking over my life. I would open my phone and just scroll.
Right.
And I caught myself one day, and I said, that's enough. I don't need to do this anymore. So I deleted that one. And now I just post a 10-minute vlog or 10-second vlog every day, and it's for myself, and I'm not comparing with other people, and it's just me and my memories.
Yeah, and I should mention that too, that it just seems like everybody always puts the best out, and people see the best and they feel bad about themselves, but for real, Instagram is full of filters. So like you said, if you use it for yourself, it's a great piece of technology. It's a great app. Especially that we're on this podcast is on Instagram, and we're posting daily inspirational advice and also these types of information that we've interviewed people like yourselves. So yeah, Instagram is awesome. So our last question we'll segue into, this is a funny question because usually we would probably interview people a little bit older, but the last question is, what piece of advice right now would your older self give to your younger self?
I would say and I would tell my high school self this, that none of that matters. That high school is empty and meaningless. Actually, just 2 weeks ago, I took the Landmark Forum. A little plug for them, but
so the Landmark Forum, could you explain? Yeah.
Landmark Forum.
Mm-hmm.
So what the Landmark Forum is, it's really hard to explain. I tried looking it up before I went, and they just say it's a transformational weekend, and people are making amends with their parents that they haven't talked to in 40 years, and they have all these tools for you just to become better and live life powerfully and live the life you want. And it's pretty amazing. But what they say, one of the things that you realize is that life is empty and meaningless, and that and with that, you just gotta just do whatever you want, right? So what I would tell my high school self is that none of this popularity, none of this social stuff matters. Like, it doesn't matter what your friends think of you, right? It's just improve on yourself. So I let that get to me a lot in high school. Many kids were actually teasing me when I got into Harvard.
Really?
It's very common. A lot of my Harvard classmates say the same. Like, if you make a little mistake on a test, they're like, "Come on, man. Come on, Harvard." Right? And it's funny when it happens once every week or something, but if it happens 3 times a day, every period, it just gets annoying. And but who cares? Who cares about what other people say, right? Just live life and just live the best life that you can. Other people can't dictate my life.
And just talking with you now and coming toward the end of our podcast, it's hard to believe you're 20 years old. I mean, I'm serious. Like, a lot of the knowledge and wisdom you dropped, some of this stuff is stuff I'm still learning at 42, and I'll continue to learn. And for people listening, hopefully you guys listen and understand that we can get knowledge and advice from people older than us, much younger than us, that if we open our minds to that advice, you can learn a whole lot. So thank you for coming on. Before you get going, though, I want to make sure that people can get a hold of you if they had any questions. I remember you were doing some consulting back in high school as you had gotten in, and I hadn't followed your consulting. Are you still, giving advice to parents and families on a private basis still?
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. So go ahead and you can give the website. What's the website for that?
So the website, we don't have it up anymore.
Okay.
It used to be called Seattle Ivy. However, you can reach me and I can do private consulting one-on-one for families. And my email is lawsoncollegeconsult@gmail.com. That is LawsonCollegeconsult @gmail.com.
Excellent. And we're going to make sure we have this on our show notes and also everything we post on. Well, Lawson, this has been an honor, man. Thank you for joining us. And like I said, in the future, we'd love to have you back and just catch up with you. So have a good night, and thanks for coming on again.
Thank you, Radley.
All right, take care. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. It still amazes me that Lawson is only 20 years old. So much poise and insight for a person so young. Harvard, you got a great one in Lawson, and I feel more confident that our future is in good hands with young people like Lawson. So his contact information will be in the show's description, and a transcript of this podcast will be on our website. If you have any questions on college admissions, especially Ivy League college admissions, you want to contact Lawson. Also, the podcast and website are growing bigger thanks to you guys, and I appreciate the support. Until next time, go out there and make it happen.
Thank you for listening to the Expert Advice for Men podcast with your host, Belltown Radley. If you enjoyed our show, make sure to rate it 5 stars, leave a positive comment, and share it with your friends. Your support means everything. Until next time, this is the Expert Advice for Men podcast.